Hi everyone and welcome back to another card making video. Today I will be playing with a new collection by Stamperia which is called Romance Forever. I have been missing in action for a while just because I was traveling for the Stamperia Convention 2024, but I'm back in action and I will be playing with this new collection today. There are plenty of products in the collection. You will find the ephemeras, die cuts, Rub-ons, pattern papers of course. It is a collection perfect for anniversaries, weddings, as well as Valentine's cards, and it also is made so that you can use it for other types of celebrations. So I'm starting with my first card for today. I'm using one of the paper pads and I'm cutting out a panel. And I have also used one of my favorite dies that cuts out rectangles with a lovely stitching all around. And then I'm going to bring in a set of Rub-ons from this collection so that I can decorate my background. Now for all my cards today I'm going to follow the same look and feel and the same design kind of, and I'm going to focus mainly on how to put together compositions. So I'm starting by placing the Rub-on directly at the center of my panel. I'm going to rub it so that I can transfer it, and for that you can use the back of a pen, the back of a brush. I'm just using one of those ball tools. And for my composition I'm going to use focal points from the die cuts pack. So these are actually chipboard, they are nice and sturdy and they make great focal points, but at the same time they are not as thick to prevent you from using them on top of the card. They are going to fit inside an envelope with no issues at all. So for my composition I went with the lantern and I also picked one of the hearts and I'm going to stick it down. By using liquid glue at the back I'm able to move the element a little bit until I'm happy with the placement, and then on top I'm going to stick my heart by using some foam tape at the back so I have a second layer. Now I want to add a pop of extra color on my composition. You can see here it's full of pink at the moment. So I grabbed a couple of leaves from the Ephemera pack. These are cardstock, so they are thinner than the chipboard element pieces, and I'm just going to tuck them behind. And when I'm creating clusters, it's all about the balance of the colors. So you see I have a little bit of green on one side. I'm going to add a touch of green on the other side of the composition. So again, I'm adding leaves, just tucking them behind the lantern. To embellish my card even more, I'm going to use again the Rub-ons, and there is a lovely butterfly there, which I'm going to transfer on my panel. And if you never used Rub-ons before, these are absolutely amazing, especially for using them on top of a card. Just because they are flat, they blend in beautifully with the background. The colors come up always very vibrant, especially when you transfer them on top of white cardstock. But there is just one thing you need to pay attention to. You need to make sure that you know exactly where you are going to stick them down, because they are not forgiving. You cannot reposition them. Another element that I lately like to use on top of my cards for my compositions are decorative chips. This pack that I'm using here gives you lots of sentiments. They are just adorable sentiments. You can definitely ink them up and give some color to them, or you can even emboss them to give them some dimension and shine. However, I like to use them as they are, and to stick it down I'm just using my matte glue, because I know that this glue is going to completely disappear without leaving any shine areas. And I'm going to bring in another set of these decorative chips, again from the same collection, and I'm just going to use some of the leaves and tuck them behind my composition, so it's going to make it look fuller, but at the same time it's not going to look too busy. And in terms of composition, the way that I place them is to create a diagonal. I find that it is always pleasing. If you want to add some extra touches to make the card even more special, you can add some dots. Here I'm using my Iridescent contour liner. I'm adding some bigger and smaller dots, just spread them along your composition. So all I did was to stick these on top of a top folding card that's 4¼ by 5½, and you can see here some close-up photos. It's a great design for Valentine's, anniversaries, a wedding card. I think it can be used in so many different occasions. Now my plan for today was to actually share one card, but since I had all the collection in front of me, I just couldn't stop and I ended up sharing 3 cards for today. So here's the second one, and I'm going with this lovely pattern paper as my base. This I'm going to cut again to be 4 by 5 1/4. So a quarter smaller than the standard card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is going to leave me a little white border all around when I stick it on my card base. Again, I used my stitch rectangle die to cut out a smaller white panel, and that's where I'm going to create my composition. I will be playing with ephemeras from the same collection as well as the Rub-ons. So I'm starting again with a Rub-on to add some interest on my background. You can definitely go ahead and add interest by using your ink pads and a blending tool. However, I'm just playing with ready-made elements today to create my compositions. Now I'm going to go with the gramophone as my focal point for this card. You can definitely peel it off and stick it down. This is cardstock. I decided to pop it with foam tape at the back, so I didn't peel it off. I'm just going to stick it as it is, making sure that I stick it in a way so that I can still see the beautiful ribbon peeking through the back. Then I have a bunch of flowers. I'm just auditioning which one will go best with my composition. So I'm going to stick this panel at the center of my pattern paper and then peel off the backing of the ephemera and stick it at the bottom just to add some interest there. And then again, I am creating a card perfect for Valentine's Days or for anniversary or wedding. So I wanted to have some hearts as if they are coming out of the gramophone. There are hearts that you can find in the ephemera pack, or if you have a die, you can cut out your own using pattern paper from the same collection, so everything matches nicely. Again, for my sentiment, I'm going with one of the decorative chips. For this one, I went with Love You. And again, I'm going to stick it down by using my matte glue. And just like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to follow the same look and feel for these cards. So again, I'm using the decorative chips with the leaves, and I'm going to use some of them to tuck them behind my composition. Again, you will notice that I'm sticking down those leaves as if I am creating a diagonal where the flower composition is. Then a final touch with my white contour liner, adding some dots. These always add a very whimsical look and feel, making them as if they are coming out of the gramophone. And finally, I'm going to stick this panel on top of a top folding card that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you can see here some close-up photos on the second card for today. By the way, don't forget to leave a comment down below, to like the video, and also let me know which one of the 3 cards that I'm sharing today is your favorite. So moving on to the third card, and again you can see I have a panel that I cut out from pattern paper. I do have the white panel that I cut out with my stitch rectangle die. I'm using the same exact design principles for creating all 3 of those cards. So you can see here I'm mixing a couple of ephemeras, the one with the balloons, and I gave it a bigger ephemera gift at the bottom as the other one was too tiny for a focal point. And since I'm creating a set of similar cards, again I'm going to bring in some Rub-ons. So this time I'm using another set of Rub-ons with lots of flowers, which I'm just going to tuck behind the gift, just to embellish it a little bit more, to give more interest at the background, since as you can see it's completely white at the moment. And I'm just using bits and pieces here and there to decorate the main focal point. Now, I could have definitely used as my sentiment one of the words from the decorative chip set, like I did for the 2 previous cards, but just for a little variation, I decided to cut out from the pattern paper the label that says "For You." So this card can also be used for a celebration of anything really, like a birthday card, for example. Also notice that I placed the white panel on an angle on top of my pattern paper just to switch up the things of the design a little bit, but you can definitely layer it one on top of the other in perfect alignment if you like. Again, I'm adding some of those leaves, and the final touch, always adding some dots, and here I'm using the white contour liner. Stick this panel on a white card base and your card is done. Here are some close-up photos on the last card that I made for today, as well as the other two cards that I shared previously. Links to everything I used can be found down below, just like always. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired, and I'll see you all next time.